So what's going on, guys? We are creating a really simple animation just to introduce you guys to Adobe Animate. So we're working within Adobe Animate software right now. So let's have a look at what we've got in front of us. We've got our scene view, which is what will be happening on screen right here. We have our timeline. So anybody that's used Adobe After Effects or Premiere Pro before will be familiar with the timeline. We're currently working at 24 frames per second, which is usually the standard format for an animation, for like a standard animation that you might get on Saturday mornings. So each of these squares is a frame, or each of these rectangles is a frame. So the way animation works is you've got a series of still images played in sequence to give the impression of movement. So it's not actually moving, it's just our minds believing that there is movement. We have our tool palette, so anybody that's used any other Adobe program such as Photoshop or Illustrator or any imaging program, even if you use Sketchbook Pro or whatever, then you'd be familiar with your tool palette. We've got the type tool, we've got a couple of selection arrows, we have a pen tool, shape tools, and over here we have our properties, which will tell us properties regarding whatever we have selected. We have our swatches palette, which obviously allows us to select color. So let's jump straight into it. We're going to select our oval tool. Now this little object here, this little thing next to our fill and our stroke, this is our object drawing tool. So that allows us to create a object. So for example, if we didn't have that selected and we had our we had a nice fill, we turn that off and we created a circle and wanted to move that, then it's all separate. We don't want that, so we're going to get rid of that. But as I said, we don't want a fill, so we're going to turn our fill off. We're going to go back to our oval tool and we're going to select the object drawing mode. So now it's an object that we're going to draw. We're going to create an oval, which is all good. Let's then select that oval with our selection tool. We're going to right click on that and we're going to convert that to a symbol. So convert to symbol, or F8 on the keyboard. We could change that. So here we have the option of changing it to a movie clip, a button, or graphic. We're going to keep it as a graphic. That will become more relevant later on, but we just need to have it done this time. So we're going to name that oval. We're going to hit OK. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert 2 key points in time, right? So we're going to put where we want it to start, where we want our animation to start, and where we want it to end. So what do we want our oval to do? We want it to go start in one position, and by the 24th frame, which is our second, then we want it to be over here. All right, so we're gonna right click on we're gonna click onto our 24th second, we're gonna right click and we're gonna insert frame, or F5. So now we've got frames inserted all the way up to 24 seconds, 24, well not 24 seconds, 24 frames. We're then going to right click again on our timeline. So now as you can see, that's become grayed out. We're going to right click on that and we're going to create a motion tween. Now, as we said previously, we've got 2 key points in time, right? So we've got 2 key points of our animation, the starting point and the ending point. These are known as your keyframes for a movement. So we want our starting position to be where it is now, and we want our end position to be over here. So keyframe 1 and keyframe 2. But what we want our computer to do is we want it to work out all of the frames in between that. So we're going to go to our final frame, which is our 24th frame, and we're going to move it to where we want it to end, which is here. So now as you can see, we've got a path going from where it started to where it's ending, and on this path we've got all of these dots. So each of these dots are frames. Right, so 23rd frame, it's there, 22nd, 21st, and it moves along that path. So if we hit play, then what the computer has done is it's worked out all of those in-betweens or tweens for that piece of animation between those 2 keyframes. Yeah, that is exactly what it's done. So now we've already created our first very simple animation. What we can do with this is we can take this path and we can adjust that just simply by left clicking and moving that path around. So if we then hit play, it's going to follow that path, yeah, which is all good. We can, so that is your basic animation. For the next tutorial, what we will look at is we'll look at easing in and easing out. So we'll actually start introducing some of the principles of animation, of weighting, and I'll also show you guys how to then rotate your oval also within the animation.